A love letter to movies. I feel like we hear that line maybe once a year.
Your film is a love letter to the late 60s.
To me, it's just a love letter to filmmaking and filmmakers.
A love letter to the industry.
It's not just a love letter to movies, but I think
It's truly a love letter to this industry that we're so fortunate enough to work in.
Movies about making movies is far from a new concept, but when it comes from arguably one of the world's greatest directors, I think every cinephile's ears perked up a little bit. Like any director, Spielberg has had his ups and his downs, mostly ups, and since last year's West Side Story, I'd argue he's on the rise again. That BFG Ready Player One Warhorse stretch was a little rough, and this is coming from somebody who enjoys Ready Player One, but he's more than proven himself, and so we continue to endure. And for good reason, because we get a movie like The Fabelmans. Sure, it might be a movie about one kid's unbridled love for film. It does do an exemplary job capturing that intoxication a film can have on the impressionable mind of a young person. The way it consumes our thoughts and brains for days, weeks, and sometimes months. And we all have a story just like this. Spielberg clearly has one, but you have one, your parents have one, your cousins have one, I have one. For me, it was Godzilla 1998. Yes, the one with Matthew Broderick. I was borderline obsessed.
You call this coffee?
I call this America.
It was all I could talk about. It was all I could think about. I lived and breathed Godzilla 1998. I begged my mother for the toys and would make cities out of shoeboxes and then proceed to destroy all those shoeboxes. I had all the Godzilla swag, the shirts, the pajamas, the lunchboxes. I even started to read Godzilla comic books. If I could have tattooed Godzilla on me at the ripe age of 9 years old, I probably would have. Fortunately, I grew out of that phase, but the point is the complete infatuation. Steven Spielberg gets it. I mean, not with Godzilla, but with the undying love for a movie because it's so effortlessly translated to the silver screen. But maybe more importantly is that The Fabelmans is so much more than a love letter to film. What I found more fascinating is its discussion of the power of film. How film can distort the past, the present, and sometimes even the future. Does the camera capture reality, or is it manufacturing something more artificial? The answer, according to The Fabelmans, is both. There are times where it forces you to take off the rose-colored glasses, but arguably, there are times where it encourages you to put them on. Seeing The Fabelmans a second time really allowed me to appreciate the technical aspects and performances a lot more. Michelle Williams is unsurprisingly the star, and I think Paul Dano is good, but I was expecting a little more from him. Not really Dano's fault though, this is definitely more of a mother-son story. And Spielberg is fully flexing his muscles in this one. There were some really incredible moments and shots, and it's just Spielberg reminding us that, yeah, he's still one of the best out there to do it. I think the largest complaint will stem from its runtime, which admittedly is kind of long. I definitely felt it on my first viewing, but strangely not in my second viewing. But I think there are portions that could be trimmed down, specifically towards like the middle end of the movie. There were a couple of times where it felt like the movie was going to end, and then it didn't. That being said, the actual ending might end up being one of the best scenes in the entire movie. So, all in all, Steven Spielberg has done it again.
He did it! The son of a bitch did it!
Which is by no means a bad thing. I feel like I said that and it came off like I was tired of it, but that is the furthest thing from the truth. Steven Spielberg will hopefully make movies until the end of time. And this time it looks like it'll score him an Oscar, or probably a few. So, if you're a fan of movies about movies, then you should watch The Fabelmans. If you're a fan of Steven Spielberg, you should watch The Fabelmans. If you're a fan of coming-of-age stories and family dramas, you should watch The Fabelmans. If you just want to watch a good movie, you should watch The Fabelmans.